Hello and welcome to our session today. I'm Lisa Bushka. I lead external communications for Acodis, and I'm thrilled to moderate our discussion as we explore the transformative journey from fear to future in our understanding of AI. Together, we'll uncover how individuals and organizations are evolving to harness AI's potential, reshaping industries, and ultimately enhancing the quality of our lives. I'm joined today by a truly global panel of AI experts. First up is Sarah Matthews. Based in Germany, Sarah is the manager of responsible AI for the Adecco Group. She focuses on ensuring our organization's responsible AI principles are operationalized and that all of the AI systems we build, implement, and use are ethical, human-centric, and in alignment with the law. Next up is Christopher Kuehl. Chris is based in the US, and he's the Vice President of AI and Data Science at Acodis. He leads the development and implementation of innovative AI-driven strategies. Through his leadership, Acodis remains at the forefront of AI-powered solutions, driving excellence, best practices, and innovation across the organization. Our third guest today is Mehdi Munsif. Mehdi is the AI tech lead within Acodis Research France. He spends most of his time developing cutting-edge prototypes and actually designing advanced AI architectures. Mehdi bridges internal teams with insights from his work, driving the creation of state-of-the-art AI systems. And last but not least, we have Joshua Morley. Josh sits in Australia and is the global head of AI data and analytics at Acodis. With a practice of over 1,000 people, he drives transformative AI and data strategies that deliver measurable impact. Josh is a globally recognized thought leader in data and AI and is known for his strategic vision and integration of responsible and ethical AI practices and principles. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Before we get started, I want to remind our audience that if you have any questions, please put them in the comments and the team will get back to you after the session. So, we have a lot to cover today, and I thought we could kick things off with a warm-up by going around the virtual table and asking this question here for everyone. In your experience, what is the most common myth or fear about AI in the workplace? Mehdi, let's start with you.
Well, in my opinion, one of the most important myth is that AI does it all, that it is almighty, that you just need to plug your problem into ChatGPT and let it do the work, which I think is not true. There is a lot of work to do, a lot of system integration to have AI do something productive and useful at scale, and that's where most of the work goes. And the fact that large language model, the recent revolution in large language model, make it so accessible to work with AI has increased this myth, but I think it is something we need to debunk.
Thanks. How about you, Josh?
Great call out, Mehdi. I think the myth that I hear perhaps too much is that this is just like another hype cycle that we had with some previous technologies over the past decade, certainly. I don't think people are realizing, and we're starting to get the literature to back this up, that this is transformative on a scale that is equivalent to the introduction of the computer and the introduction of the internet.
Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely align with the speakers before me. But I think what I hear a lot as well is the fear of my job will be replaced and I can't do anything against it. I think we need to keep in mind that oftentimes augmentation is the key here and not being replaced. And secondly, also, I think there is a lot of fear with the fast speed of those enhancements, leaving people like, I can't do anything. I don't know how to follow up. I don't know how to follow this enhancement. And I think this is also something that is not true, because there's a lot out there that is also easily digestible for no matter whom. So there is a lot of potential of exploration.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'd follow up very similar to what Sarah and some of the rest. I think the most common myth that I hear is that AI will completely replace humans within the workplace. This is a very valid fear, in my opinion, because fear of losing out on our ability to provide for our families, that's a real thing for a lot of people. But in reality, AI is much more about enhancing how we work and augmenting us rather than replacing us. So it's definitely a myth in my opinion, and it's something we can stay ahead of.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah. So as you've all noted, there are several common fears associated with AI, ranging from job displacement to loss of relevance, lack of control, things like that. And there's data from the Adecco Group's most recent Global Workforce of the Future research to actually back this up. So the research says 40% of workers report being concerned about job security long term. 23% say that AI has made their skills less relevant, about double the proportion who thought this would happen in 23. And 13% say that AI has made them lose their job. Last year, just 8% feared it would. Which brings me to my next question. What educational initiatives best address AI-related fears, and how can leaders promote them? Sarah, can you kick us off with this?
Sure. I mean, on the one hand side, I think we can look at classical learnings and trainings. Here, it's super important that we're creating things that are bite-sized, more or less, right? So easy, digestible. And also what we experience quite a lot is that those learnings need to be really tailored to the roles of the people. So they understand how to apply it actually. That also goes hand in hand with accessibility, of course. So to ensure that we have different formats that people can access these learnings and trainings, and also that it is tailored, for example, to local languages, which is something that becomes super easy using actually AI and generative AI capabilities. So I think this is the classical way of bringing those inputs to people, but also making people participate, like in influencer programs, for example, where they get some tailored training, where they can get some early access to tools. For example, is something that opens up a safe space almost to learn, also to fail, which is absolutely fair and fine here, right? But also to explore and to lower those entry barriers.
That's great. Thanks. Josh, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I think I'll answer this in two parts. The first is that education needs to be at every layer of the organization and also include public sector and public service. We built the Acodus AI Academy in order to meet this need, and we've now trained over 14,000 people in 14 countries. And effectively, we have training for board members, executives, non-technical business people, and then 2 different courses for technical people based off the complexity of the task. All of these courses can be done in a full-time or part-time hybrid delivery, and it means that at every level of the organization, people have an understanding of what is really going on, what is just hype, what is sensationalism from the media. How can I practically apply the use of these productivity tools in my day-to-day job? And also for leaders and board members, how should we be thinking about this, incorporating this into our strategy, and progressing in a new way to make sure that we don't miss out on this digital transformation? And that kind of leads into the second point, which is I really like the AI wave, because in terms of all of the transformational technologies that have come in, right back from the steam engine all the way through to the computer and the internet, AI is the first one that has the assistant built into it. I encourage people, if you don't know how to use the tool, or if you're not comfortable using the tool, you can ask the AI tool to help you along that path. Just say, I don't know how to use you, but I'd like to write a business case. Can you walk me through how we can do this together? Or can you ask me questions until you have enough information for me to be able to complete that task? So it can help coach you. Another good piece of advice is to ask it to evaluate your interactions with it at the end of the session. Say, how did you find my communication? Was I clear? How can I do better next time? So you can have that personalized coach and learn how to leverage the tool to the maximum of its ability, all built into the tool that you're using.
That's actually a really great suggestion, which goes well into this next question I have to ask. What steps can workers that are in environments not supportive of AI take to begin building their AI skills? You know, we gave some great examples of how organizations and leaders can support, but you know, if you're on the other end of the spectrum, what else besides actually taking the reins with the tool themselves can people do? Chris, do you have some thoughts here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's quite a few steps that workers truly can take. And if the big takeaway from this is I think it's super important to start right now. The first step is to seek out all of those free and affordable resources that are online. I look at all the different courses that are available right now, the tutorials, the webinars. This will help provide that foundational knowledge about all of the AI concepts as well as different tools. I believe strongly in platforms like YouTube because they offer easily accessible learning opportunities in ways that are easy to digest. Another important step is to experiment with AI tools that are widely available. We hear ChatGPT all the time or different AI softwares that are out there. That allows you to get real hands-on experience. Using those for even simple tasks like organizing your project or analyzing a simple bit of data really helps build your confidence and familiarity with the tool. And this would allow those workers to really focus in on developing those complementary skills that AI relies on, such as the data literacy or problem solving and critical thinking, and it builds your confidence and really enhances your ability to work alongside AI. The last one, honestly, might seem a little confrontational or that side, but networking with like-minded individuals and professional groups, they can help you find companies who are actually approaching AI with a more open mind and open you up to a potential new opportunity to put those skills to practice and really apply them inside the workplace.
Great, thanks. Mehdi, do you have anything to add there?
I might indeed. I might have also a quite controversial approach on this one because I'm not sure everyone should invest a lot of time in building skills, in building AI skills, because it is I think the very the surface skills such as prompt engineering is likely to move quickly in the background. So spending time trying to master abstract formulation to ask the chatbot to do something and you can tip it, or because your grandmother needs it, is not necessarily something you need to fine tune. This is not something that should happen. This is like a feature. That this is a bug rather than a feature. And I think people should be better off focusing on the thing that the AI doesn't do. So their core knowledge, their core creativity, the way they can conceptualize things. And once they build these skills, we will also obviously have people working on building the lower level AI systems, and those systems will then be integrated. And so you will have people be able to use those high leverage tools without having to learn how to prompt, which I think is not something we really should invest on. So yeah, I think definitely people should rather focus on the things that AI has trouble to learn. So domain-specific, multi-step expert reasoning, and things that are not very likely on the general internet.
That's great. Thanks. So now that we've talked a little bit about how individuals and organizations can move from fearing AI to understanding it, I'd like to focus on how they can progress from adoption to true innovation, actually harnessing AI to drive tangible benefits. Lenar Ramos, Senior Director Analyst from Gartner, says that Gen AI is acting as a catalyst for the expansion of AI in the enterprise. But he also notes that it's a test for leaders on whether they'll be able to capitalize on this moment and deliver value at scale. Workforce technology expert and Harvard Business School professor Karim Lakhani speaks in a similar vein when he highlights how all of us are immersed in an AI-first world through experiences with platforms such as Uber and Amazon, Yet paradoxically, leaders do not feel the need to translate these expectations into their own operations and therefore risk being left behind. And this leads me to my next question. How can organizations foster a culture that not only adopts AI, but also encourages experimentation to drive innovation? Josh?
Yeah, thank you. I really like Chris's answer to the last, and to answer this question, I want to revisit some of his comments. I think a great way to foster culture is to encourage a tool in low-stakes environments to build that confidence that Chris talked about. These can be providing use cases or supported uses of the technology specifically around drafting reports, communications, or documents, where it's very... it remains human in the loop as part of the nature of the process, where you draft the document, you revise it, provide it for perhaps for review or feedback from other stakeholders, and then it's passed on down the process line. That's a way that people can get very comfortable with it, start to build that confidence. And often we find that once people are more confident with the technology and they understand the limitations, or they understand where they need to be extra rigorous in reviewing the output, they're more likely to use it more frequently. And the second point is on that networking that Chris mentioned. I really think that having a community of practice or a center of excellence or some kind of model that an organization chooses to centralize knowledge and drive communication is absolutely vital. Everything from sharing the uses of the technology to hints on use, sharing prompts like a prompt library or frameworks are all extremely valuable, and just ultimately, I think, drive towards a better culture of innovation and adaptation.
Thanks for that. Sarah, do you have anything to add here?
Yes, of course. I think we're all aligned on that room to play, so to say, for everybody. But I think also, and partially I need to say that, but also I want to say that and stress that point, is to really clearly also create some guardrails for people, right? Because guardrails have, of course, two purposes. On the one hand side, they show you what not to do, but that also on the flip side encourages you to know what to do, right? So what tools am I allowed to use? How not? What is something that helps me to be neutral in my language, for example? So I think, especially in organizations, it's super important to give people these do's and don'ts so that they know how to engage and that they feel really safe once they do so. And secondly, also, I think it's super important, especially if we're speaking about experimentation, is to speak openly about failures as well, right? Not every experiment is always successful. Not every experiment always ends up the best possible way and brings us a large return on investment. So I think it's also super important to be open, to create that safe space for failure as well, and to speak about it with your employees, because then everybody can feel safe. And if something happens that was unintended, they feel also safe to speak up. And that's super important as well, so that we're not missing out if somebody experiments and that might not go according to plan.
Great points. Chris, Mehdi, do either of you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'd jump in right after Sarah, because I echo the fact that experimentation is something that needs to be done. And I think it starts with leaders really being an active champion on the AI as a tool for innovation rather than just efficiency. Setting the tone that AI is a game changer, not a threat, and that basically helps show that the willingness to experiment, fail, and be transparent about those failures so that you're learning. Ultimately, making it clear that innovation requires taking a little bit of risk, but in a controlled environment.
Okay. I want to dance around this topic just a little bit more by asking this next question here. What steps or frameworks can organizations and individuals implement to reach, I guess, what I'll call the AI tipping point, an adoption tipping point, where AI becomes integral to their business? And what does an organization that has reached this tipping point actually even look like? I don't know, Chris, if you have more to say on that.
Yeah, I got to be really careful, though, because I could talk on this one for hours upon hours upon hours. I don't think there's a true one-size-fits-all framework. I do strongly believe there's some repeatable elements, starting with those small, impactful projects that really drive those quick wins, build confidence. AI needs to be a part of the core business strategy, aligning with the holistic goals, such as improving experience, or I know I'm going to kind of talk out of both sides of my mouth, but boosting efficiency. I love what Josh had mentioned early on of upskilling teams. I think that's crucial, so they can use AI effectively, and they can focus on the human strengths like problem solving, strong data quality, and cross-department collaboration. Has always been a key driver for success in my experience. And then ultimately tracking progress and adapting when you need to allows you to move from a side project to a key driver of growth or transformation. But not to be too controversial, but no company has truly surpassed that AI tipping point, in my opinion, yet. But there are those that are making real progress, and I think they share a lot of key traits. I think they're agile. They adapt their strategy and operations to leverage AI's capabilities without being too rigid or tied to a process. They're flexible in scaling AI solutions quickly, integrating them across different departments, and then ultimately shattering those silos that really slow down and decrease the innovation across the company. And then most importantly, I think they have a passion for continuous growth and improvement, using AI to uncover those new opportunities, refine experiences, and challenge the status quo. The truth is, most companies are still stuck in the pilot world, and they're hesitant to drive experimentation. Those that are moving forward are extremely bold. They're treating AI as a catalyst for that transformation rather than a tool. And those companies are not really necessarily waiting for the perfect roadmap. They're building as they go. They're learning, they're iterating, and they're staying ahead by embracing the true disruptive power, I guess, of AI. And so it's not about necessarily being there yet. It's about being relentless in the pursuit of really what's possible. And I think that's the real advantage for companies like that.
Okay. Mehdi, anyone else? Does anyone else have anything to add here?
Yes, I could have other few things. I think it's a very broad question, but it would be interesting to start by the tail. So what does an organization that has surpassed the AI tipping point look like? In my opinion, it's a company in which your workforce is able to very quickly assess problems and create prototypes and solutions in a very flexible manner, leveraging AI to do so, and in a very broad spectrum of topics. So in order to reach this tipping point and enjoy the full benefits of it, you need to build systems that enable your workforce to do that, and also to have a workforce that is able to conceptualize these kind of things, which means that you need people who have an enhanced creativity driver. They can conceptualize solution, and they know where to abstract, so that the AI systems that are created by the company can take their ideas and create a prototype out of it. So in order to do that, I think there are a few steps. You need a strong technical group within the company that will strongly understand AI and create those systems, which means understanding where AI works, where it doesn't, where do I need to split my tasks, what kind of tools does AI need to actually do the things we want it to do. So you need to work on both those sides. So the technical aspect, creating the systems, and the other one is educating the workforce to be more conceptual, able to abstract, and creative and versatile.
Okay, so so far on our journey here, we've talked about fearing AI, we've talked about adopting AI, and now I think I'd like to fast forward into the future part here and talk about after AI is fully scaled across an organization, I think we're left with another question, which is what role do human skills play? And ironically, this sort of takes us back to where we began on the topic of fears. But the majority feels that the importance of human skills, in fact, will grow as AI becomes more widespread. The Adecco Group study shows that 76% of workers value human expertise in the recruitment process, and this is a figure that is significantly grown in recent years. So in what ways can AI actually enhance human-centric roles rather than replace them? And do you feel that AI will ever fully replicate core human qualities like empathy, critical thinking, and creativity? Sarah, let's start with you here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, human-centric roles are, of course, at the core of the Adecco Group. So that's, of course, where the focus lies for me. And I think what we can see a lot, of course, is that AI is very good in things that are processing, for example, large volumes of data, right? So getting through a large volume of data is something where AI can do better than humans. If we're speaking about tasks that are very repetitive, so if I need to send out reminders, for example, that's something that I do not necessarily need to focus on, right? Also, if we're speaking about certain types of planning or using, for example, data to forecast, all of this is, I think, where AI has certainly strength. But on the other hand side, if we're thinking about human-centric roles like recruiters or also like managers, we see clearly that the interaction between individuals is still super important. And also, especially also in the Adecco Group, we made the decision that we will not have automated decision for critical points like employment, right? So we always want to have the human feedback. We want to have the human expertise because our people are trained on that. Our people are trained on the soft skills as well, right? Recognizing the multifaceted approach, like is a person nervous or not? Having empathy, right? Having or reading signals of people, reading body language. All of these are elements that are still focused on humans and that humans can, for now, do better than AI.
Okay, Josh, do you have any thoughts on this?
Please. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic because AI is contributing towards the accessibility of professional services in a way that we haven't quite seen before. An example of this might be mental health caseworkers, where some preliminary work can be very carefully done to help triage or provide initial services to somebody who might not have the economic or even geographic means to access that support. Behind the scenes, you might have then a professional who's gone through their certification and accreditation and is able to validate the sentiment, the nature of the discussions, the insights that have been returned, all of these kinds of things, and scale their ability. I can certainly speak in Australia, we have very long wait lists for psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, and other medical practitioners as well. But I would be remiss to not mention that there have been some studies where it's been demonstrated that modern AI systems can sometimes outperform the average person in areas like emotional intelligence in the text. Now, this isn't to say that AI has emotional intelligence or it even understands what's going on at all, because these are just statistical models. But I think that's really promising because we hear a lot of the bad side, like the AI systems that were poorly built and over time drifted from their task so far that somebody was convinced or encouraged by the AI system to commit suicide. But on the other side of that, there are, with the appropriate governance, responsible AI and system development in place, I think we can really provide a lot of services that have previously been not accessible to people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds or remote regions and districts, things like that.
That's great. Does anyone else here have anything to weigh in on before we move on?
Maybe I could add a thought. So I'm very aligned with what has been said, and I would just add that I think, in my opinion, AI is designed to enable. We should design AI systems to enable individuals to expand their reach, to express their intent in a broader way and with less pain and suffering from their side and less manual labor. But the thing that I think anthropomorphizing AI, so giving human-like qualities to AI, like empathy and so on and so forth, these are not things we can represent through formal learning and through optimization. And there is no point in doing that except in generating, I think, some kind of fake connection between the human and the machine. This may have some. There may be some cases in which it is positive for the individuals, but I think ultimately it's creating a vulnerability, and I don't know where this is going. So in my opinion, AI is designed to. We should design AI system to enable individuals to better express their human-centric roles and not letting AI do so.
That's great. This is some great feedback on the topic. And finally, now I want to highlight a worker profile that has emerged from that same recent Adecco group research that we've referred to previously here. It's called the Future Ready Worker, and representing just 11% of the 30,000 workers surveyed, this group of workers is made up of adaptable, tech-savvy professionals that excel due to uniquely human strengths that AI can't replicate. So I just want to explore this a little deeper and ask, how can companies develop more future-ready workers? And what can individuals do to become one of these tech-savvy employees? Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of work unwinding the rigorous and heavily defined process structure that served very well for large organizations in the past, especially modeled around the Industrial Revolution, where we know optimization and efficiency comes from a very well-defined task or process that is executed by the letter of the task continually. And I think now that's counterintuitive and counterproductive for the skills that's needed for the future-ready workers, which we're starting to see, as you said, highly adaptive environments because of the ever-evolving nature of technology, AI and otherwise. So I think the growth mindset that is called out a lot and the ability to be flexible and adaptable are the two core components of what I consider to be a future-ready worker. The ability to not, and I think AI is going to help with this. We've become very rigid in an expert might understand how to use a particular product suite really well because they learn the ins and outs of the product. They know how to navigate the user interface. But then even if they were an expert, say, in graphics design in the Adobe suite, if you were to move them to a new platform, they might not know how to perform to the same level of competence because they've become dependent on that user interface that they've become an expert in. With AI, as we move to more conversational, as we move to text-based or other means of interacting, the Microsoft 365 Copilot suite, as an example, you're still interacting with Excel behind the scenes, but you don't have to be an expert in how to navigate their user interface anymore. You can now conversationally request that formulas are created or whatever operation that you want to perform on the data. So for me, it comes down to the growth mindset, being willing and even enjoying changing environments and that adaptability.
Okay. Sarah or anyone else, do you have any additional input to add here?
Sure. On the one hand side, I really want to underline what Josh was saying, especially this adaptability and agility is for me one of the most crucial elements in this equation. We already said a lot, right? We're speaking about trusted spaces, great room to play and all of that. But I think one element that is important for me as well is we're always speaking about people who need to adopt AI technology or AI skills. I think we also need to think the other way around, right? Because we have also AI experts, but they equally need to understand our core business. And I think this interplay is super important to highlight here as well. We need, on the one hand side, our people in the core business who learn and adopt new skills towards AI. But at the same time, we also need our tech people to understand better our core businesses and where the expertise of the people lies. Because in the end, this interplay of creating systems that can be used and that actually enhance our core knowledge and the human skills is as equally as important as being able to use it in the end. And I think this is for me also part of the future ready worker, to have this interplay on both sides. And of course, I can only encourage all employees, don't be scared, right? Try out, play. That's part of being adaptable. That's part of being future ready. That's part of continuous learning, if you want to call it like that. And I think that's one of the key elements here, of course.
Thanks for that. So now that our session is drawing to a close, I'd like to go around this virtual table one more time and ask each of you if there is one message about AI's role in shaping the future of work that you would like our audience to remember. What would it be? Josh, let's start with you.
No worries, thank you. I think if there was one thing, it's that AI is here, it is transforming industries, and it will create industries in the same way the steam engine did, in the same way that the advent and introduction of the computer did, and in the same way that the internet did. It's better to adopt and build confidence in a tool that can provide great productivity for your business than it is to miss out entirely. The worst case scenario is you have more productive employees.
Great. How about you, Chris?
Well, I love Josh's answer, so I'm gonna kind of expand on that one. I think the future of work belongs to those who embrace AI. They use it as a tool to amplify their own potential, freeing them to focus in on key things such as creativity, problem solving, building and maintaining meaningful relationships. Success lies in blending the tech with our own uniquely human traits so that we can drive innovation and purpose. And I think that was pretty well rounded in each of the topics that we talked about today.
Sarah?
Yeah, I'm pretty aligned with that as well. I think for me, it's the encouragement to embrace the journey. For everybody, make AI your best buddy for the things that you actually find boring. While doing that, please keep in mind, it's not a perfect technology. It has its flaws. It is biased in multiple elements. So please use it, experiment, but be aware, think critically. I think that's super important. Don't believe everything that you see, and leverage this potential in the most responsible manner.
And how about you, Mehdi? Any final thoughts here?
Well, if there's anything left to say, but no, basically everything has been said. I would just encourage people to think in systems. So seeing AI as a part of a greater machine, not something that does everything. And also, I would like to stress out that it's, I think, very important to have various skills, because AI will be able to do a lot of things, and people who will be best able to leverage it will be the people who have a conceptual understanding of many topics and know how to say to the AI, that's what I want you to do, and combine this with this kind of other thing to create a broader and better products overall.
Okay, so thank you all for participating in this session and for your amazing insights. And thanks to everyone watching. If you enjoyed this content, please follow Akotis on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel and or visit akotis.com. Thanks everyone for participating.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Engineering a smarter future together.